top right-hand side of the map, our Red Terran player has been kicking up a storm in Europe and across servers everywhere, in all honesty. Our Red Terran from Team Liquid is Clem. And the bottom left-hand side, our Blue Protoss player, this is going to be Zest. So Zest, again, comfortable position in this group right now. 3-1 in matches. Absolutely in a position where he can advance through. Even if he doesn't win this, it might get close and come down to like a tiebreaker. Of course, it's still very important for Zest to win because it would guarantee him top 2 of the group. And if you guarantee top 2, you go to that winner bracket. So that's obviously pretty important as well. And then on the other side, Clem, he's not doing so hot so far. Played some great games, just hasn't been good enough. So Clem is in much more of a must-win position to keep his tournament hopes alive. I'm not 100% convinced that if he loses here, he's done and out, but it really would start to depend on other matchups and other results. So I think a Clem victory is almost necessary to make something happen in all of this. This probe comes up, gonna head up into the main base. A scout here from Zest to see what's going on. A couple of SCVs pulling in, one to keep building the racks, the other to actually push that probe away. And of course, I was just talking about the YouTube in the break, but if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously these are some games which I think a lot of people want to see, so likely if they're good games to get an upload, do consider hitting that subscribe button and liking the video and all the good stuff. You guys know the drill, but gotta say it, because actually in my last like 2 weeks of YouTube uploads, I didn't say it once, and it's actually had an impact, so you gotta do the YouTube things, guys, you know, we gotta mention them, because then you guys remember and all of that good stuff. All right, Reaper on the way from Clem in the main, as we do have that about a pop. Now, the Cybercore from Zest across the map is going to finish. We will have the probe of Zest making its way back home. So already pulling that back as the Reaper of Clem makes its way down out into the center of the map. SCV will continue up the left-hand side and gain the Reaper all the way down to the south into the natural in the next few moments. Warp Gate is setting up as well. Very standard stuff, right? It's really kind of a question of, you know, is it going to be a Twilight Council and Blink? Answer, probably yes. And versus, you know, Clem, you know, what does he want to do? There's obviously a lot of variety in terms of how you open in the TvP. So definitely a lot of variety around that as this Reaper comes in, trying to dance with the Adept. And not make any crazy plays just yet. Zest does wall over here, so it's going to be difficult for this Reaper to really pick up information in this game. Gets pushed back. Will the Adept continue across the map? It will not. Of course, the other option from Zest on the Twilight Council is to say, hey, maybe I could go into a Dark Shrine, and that's definitely something Zest has done before, as Clem actually does, despite the wall-off, get the Scout on the Twilight. One of the issues, you only have 2 pylons up at this stage, right? So with 2 pylons, you either build your tech here or you build your tech here. Either way, the Reaper's probably going to see it, right? So, yeah, nice little Scout from the Reaper, gets that info of a Twilight Council. It will just be Blink from Zest. This is not the greatest of maps for 4-gate Blink. You know, it's very hard to rotate. Well, first of all, pressuring up this ramp is difficult with 4 gates. And then you've got to rotate kind of around over here, blink over minerals. It just ain't pretty. So just expect this to be 2 to 3 gates of a blink opener into that kind of robo, and so on and so forth. Kind of surprised by the single Hellion here from Clem. You know, the Hellion's usually more of a scouting unit, but what does he need to scout? It feels like he's already picked up really good information already. You know, he's already been able to see the Twilight Council. So we'll see what he does with the Hellion, how he approaches it. He might just go for a couple of unit kills. Yeah, Stalker and the Adept out to the side. He is just going to go for the run past, and Reaper and the Hellion will get in, go up to the main base. Obviously no shield battery yet, so yeah, I guess in the end, Hellion, I guess, reconfirms scouting of what you're seeing, right? You get to see the Stalker count, and that's quite nice. And then you get 2 probes. And 2 probes for Hellion and the Reaper, which are just reconfirming that this is Stalkers warping in. You're not seeing a Dark Shrine anywhere. I think that's kind of worthwhile, as Clem actually did build the Raven anyway, and he's going to go 2nd and 3rd racks after this too. So it is a fast 3rd from Zest, but it's going to be under some heavy pressure with the 2nd and 3rd rack so quickly. You do get, as Clem, to go across the map with that stim pack and combat shields fairly quickly, and especially with the tanks popping out as well. Marine tank with the Raven, can they push across to do something? Definitely a possibility. Starport makes its way to its reactor. Engineering base starts, so everything again looking to line up at the moment. This Rax is going to go on the attack lab as well. I was just kind of wondering. It feels very defensive then from Clem, right? Because 1 tank probably not going to move across, probably just going to siege up and stay safe. And then just kind of staying safe until you get to these upgrades and then playing from there. So Clem taking some precautions, but Zest again not playing crazy, just sending a hallucination across the map. off of this fast at third base, we're expecting him to just play 3 gas for quite a while. And especially, I think, as he sees these racks, right, and no third CC, he will just stick to 3 gas. He will just stick to building gateway units. His other choice would be to add on his extra gases and to start saying, right, Templar Archive, Storm, etc. But it's very difficult to justify going into that because, you know, now you're going to be under pressure. If you're trying to tech up and that tech's not ready, or if you just have 1 or 2 storms, this sort of push will kill you. So right now, it's really quantity over quality from Zest in terms of where he wants to take this army. There's a couple of shield batteries are going to set up out in front of the third base, so getting those ready to go. The extra gateways in the back of the main. Zest will bring the Stalkers up to the top with a command center number 3 already building in the natural location. We do have Adept and a few Zards just up the right-hand side. There's, with the 3cc, of course, going to be the future for Clem. But again, definitely expect to push out with the upgrades, right? The medevacs are lining up right now. Even if it is just a bio army, of course, this is what Zest is prepared for, right? As soon as this bio army moves out, Prism's going to strike, and it's going to try and keep Clem at home and really get, you know, let Zest get more units up and will completely let him get away with the fact that this third Nexus has been up now for, what, 2.5 minutes since it started? So as our medevac's popping and going to start moving onto the map, and again, Prism off to the side, +1 attack and stim pack. About to finish up. A couple extra Widow Mines are going to continue to build, and well, the 3cc going to come up as well. It's going to be done shortly as the bio gets into the center, grabs a Stalker. A few Zealots into the main base, and just going to go straight after a few SCVs as well. The bio gets here, Adept taking damage. A bit more bio showing up as well, and honestly, I mean, not bad from Clem because he's still sending a few units across the map, so he loses. Oh my god, he just lost like 6 more workers. I was going to say, losing 7 workers ain't so bad, but now he's up to 20 workers lost. Wow, he's actually just lost the entire main base, even though it kind of felt like he was handling it well. Battery Overcharge should be available here, right? And double Immortal. Force Fields to kind of split the army up. Battery Overcharge, you just don't fight that. So Clem backs away, 21 workers down, and Zest has basically just ended this game with this attack. Clem, that's the issue, right? If he pulled everything home, maybe he loses less workers. But because he only pulled part of it home, he was then meant to be able to do something across the map, and, well, he just hasn't. Maybe he should have looked for dropping the main already, right? You know, fight away from these batteries. This is the amount of units you could lift up and drop, so I'm kind of surprised he didn't look for more. Maybe he just wants to keep the units alive to make that one big push across the map, which is what we're starting to see now. A little bit rough as we do see a couple of force fields being placed. A couple of Marines already going down there. The Raven will sit overhead. But the line's already burrowing up, and Clem getting ready to go for a push down. Guess what? More Zealots just showed up into his natural, and, well, SCVs are going to pull away to the third base. Can Clem do enough? Yeah, he drops the Matrixes with the Raven onto 2 Immortals. I mean, that's pretty much as good as it's going to get. The only thing I'd say is maybe he could have looked to force the Super Battery and then drop the Matrixes, because now the Super Battery just buys Zest all the time in the world against the Matrixes, and so, yeah, just obviously not much Clem can really do there in the end, and Zest leads the series 1-0 as we go straight into our game number 2. Down a map, we start on the bottom left-hand side of Eternal Empire. The Red Terran player from Team Liquid needs to sharpen up the Warp Prism defense. It is Clem. Taking on the Blue Protoss on the top right-hand side, Zest for game number 2. Just want to say thank you very much, Infan, for the Twitch Prime for 4 months in total. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. Really appreciate it. Just as it was the start of the game. As we set this up, we get this going. And just going to see the racks and gateway and all the rest of it building. I mean, Eternal Empire, already one of these maps which does promote that little bit of getting up to 3, 4, 5 bases. Well, I mean, I think everyone always says this, right? But it really feels like this is the kind of map where you could maybe expect a really epic, awesome game between these 2 players. Because you know what it is as well, I feel like at the start of 2020, I was kind of passing a lot of Zest in a lot of online events, and I really felt like Zest was showing up, but not really... Zest was always like showing up and kind of doing okay, but I always felt he was like lacking a bit of finesse, and I always felt as though he was getting into really good positions in PvT. I was just like, but I always felt as though he was losing in the larger fights. And there was some point around, I think it was like February or March, or maybe around Katowice. I think it was just after the Teal Liquid map contest tournaments, like end of February, March, kind of around Katowice, maybe just after. It felt like, Zest was suddenly like, huh, you know what, I'm sick of being in great positions and not winning. And so he just started to take really good fights, and his PvT just kind of leveled up a little bit all of a sudden, and maybe Zest in general leveled up a little bit all of a sudden, because obviously that run in Katowice was impressive as well. Yeah, maybe he just leveled up, and suddenly his PvT looked as though it could go to toe with anybody at any stage of the game. So, while we do kind of think about Zest, we think about him being maybe a bit more aggressive and, being the micro toss and being a bit, Mr. Micro and all of that stuff and his timings. His macro games can be terrifying too. And I really feel like, his macro engagements, his later game engagements are something to really worry about here. So, it's kind of scary because if I'm Clem, I'm not exactly gunning to play any kind of a game against Zest, right? He's scary late, he's scary early. I do like this switch up though. Starport proxied on the map, so you will get a Hellion drop to the main base early stages of the game. That will be the initial plan, as the Adept of Zest back up through the center. Just going to see the Warp Gate building. Again, just blink from Zest. I mean, it's really about these Hellions and how much they will do in these early stages. If you get 10 workers, you're in a pretty great position. That's an opening which slows Zest down a lot, gives you a good economy to follow up. The scariest part of if you use this Hellion drop is always going to be the counterattack. But this was only 2 gates, so there's not going to be that many Stalkers. It's looking to be a pretty fast third base from Zest as well. And so the counterattack isn't really there. So without the potential to counter, Clem really can, if he just deals any damage at all, it's going to be difficult for Zest to do anything about it as a follow-up. So Zest needs to defend this initially, and hope it's good. He does have Stalkers well positioned right from the start here, as the Medevac will be the only unit out that starport. He goes straight in, he sees the Stalkers, he'll unload. I mean, he will go for a probe. He climbs up, he gets 4. He's going to get a few more. Obviously, this mineral line is low HP. He let one of the Hellions go down, which is a shame. Adept going to shade across. There was a lot of lower health probes in the natural expansion, but didn't feel like he could get the shots that he needed to finish them off there, and he's going to get just 6 workers in the end. Man, and look how many probes were low. There's 3 in the natural. There's 2 more in the main. He was so close to getting that 10-ish worker kill count. That's really, really great. So yes, Zest maybe can't counterattack here so much. He will go across the map to maybe see if he can try. But the other thing is as well, he did take that very fast third, so while it's equal workers at the moment, he will bounce back from that very quickly with the third base having come down. So I think 6 probes is very manageable damage for Zest. This hallucination comes in to see what's up. Looks like he was actually just hunting for the starport, just in case there was an extra unit building. But there was not, it was already flying home. Clem has 2 tanks up, so if anything did come across the map, he's pretty safe against it. He's going to start setting up his upgrades, so that 3-rack setup once again, not going to go 3cc, which would lead to him having to be a little bit more passive. Instead, will be very similar to where he was at in the last game, just with a bit of probe damage done early, so Zest maybe not in as comfortable of a position for himself. So this stage is Clem. He does have info on when the third was done. Looks like he's going to send this Hellion around. I just park it here, right? Information on when a 4th base is taken. I mean, one last Hellion's not going to really dive in for like a bunch of probe kills, is it? Unless Zest is completely out of position and unable to get a single Stalker warped in. So I like this spot, right? It really does just spot the mineral patches, the bases. Just giving Clem that knowledge and information to make some good decisions later on. Would imagine you see a 3cc after this again. It was around this time last game, and he's not there yet. Obviously different opener, so expected to be a bit later, but just before he pushes out, 3rd cc can start. But again, the setup is from Zest. It's pretty much identical. He already has the warp prism coming across the map. Charge will be done, so he can warp in the Zealots. Looks like Clem wants to build the 3rd in location this time. It's a little bit riskier, obviously a little bit tougher to defend as well. Zest's vision so far is great also. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of vision on the map, but he does see this observer, which really kind of watches anything to the 3rd. He watches this army moving out. Clem is going to bring the couple Widow Mines that he wanted to drop back home. Trying to get some shots off on this prism, which kind of just flies by. Clem, well, he's continuing across the map. So he's got a large army going across the map, but he doesn't really have anything here to fight these zealots. I mean, the Widowmine is trying to burrow up. I think he gets one of them onto the prism. He needs to deal with these zealots. I mean, across the map, though, he's going to find the sentries and the Immortal move commanding along. So this time, maybe Clem actually gets some good damage done on the other side. Because this time, he doesn't bring back part of the army. He really sends everything across the other side. Battery overcharge pops. He'll pull away and just kind of let the siege tanks deal some damage here as well. And obviously, the thing is, Clem also has to pay attention back at home to figure out how he's handling the zealots in his base. So has one tank remaining. Obviously, no medevac with this army, though, and so it's very low HP. Every stim costs him heavily. 13 SCVs down to the 6 probes. Zest has basically no army left, however. Another warping of zealots. Might be able to clean this up. The warp prism has been handled, dealt with, even cleaned up. So now Clem can reinforce. And reinforcements against the Zest army that's looking so low on army supply. 30 army supply lead. Upgrade advantage for Clem. I actually think he's going to be okay as he comes across. And yeah, these few zealots, no concussive shells. So he can't catch a couple of zealots already. But he can keep pushing forward to the third base, right? Again, no upgrades from Zest. It is very aggressive on kind of the gateway units. Maybe that's something for Clem to look at as well here. Although he's only on 2 bases of his own. So he does need to be cautious about what he gets done. I think you can't just fall back home as Clem because you're only on 2 bases, right? Against 3 bases. Zest upgrades don't matter if he's just going to get so much more than you. Which might be the case in this fight as well, now we're talking about it. Cancel the Liberator, goes into 2 more medevacs, just wants healing. As much of it as he can find. Zest, his army supply again rising up. That Forge now spinning. He will find the opportunity to start a +1 attack upgrade. Shield battery number 2, back onto the 3rd. And battery overcharge available again now. Sets up a Widowmine, actually does decide, okay, time to get my 3rd base rolling here. Trying to go some different directions. Thing is, Zest, observer here, knows the army's not in front of the 3rd base, so you can position a bit more towards the 4th natural anyway. Now, Widowmine Jog going to try and come straight into the 3rd. He sees the Zealots, he just won't bother. Probe's already pulling those, that's already damage being done. Reinforcements will have to protect the 3rd base that's building in position. And these Zealots just kind of running into some trouble. A couple Widowmines will get cleaned up. These Widowmines here will just find a probe each. Stalker's already blinked, so he saves the medevac, saves the Widowmine. Zest with that little pocket of minerals and gas that he oh so often has. Now down 2 upgrades against Clem. +1 attack is about to finish up. 5 extra Stalkers warping in. Does just feel like that economy of Zest is now starting to get a little bit too much done. If you have a look at the income graph, you can see this entire portion where Zest was just mining so much more. And that's what helps him recover from this huge army deficit and to draw this game back into play. Obviously just Clem unable to reinforce fast enough to really keep on pushing when he had that advantage, when it felt like he had Zest basically broken already. Scans up the ramp. 4 Immortals is terrifying as well, right? I mean, that's worth kind of keeping in mind. You look at this army like, well, it's mostly just gate units, and yeah, the Immortals are the real kind of end of that discussion, basically. I like the double Liberator. We'll see what it can do. A bit of harassment ahead of this attempt to push up, perhaps. Gonna try and siege Stalkers straight on it. First Liberator down, second is gonna fall. I mean, now you obviously want those Liberators here instead. Liberators here could have maybe started to push this army back. If they blink in for it, you've got the bio to protect. Clem does have a 3rd base, though, right? And, you know, he is tacking up, too. He's making ghosts. And that's something to keep in mind as well, because now Clem hasn't committed because he didn't want to. He wanted to go into the later stage army. So Clem is, you know, it looks like Clem's not fighting away, but he's slowed Zest down and put himself in a position now where he can maybe make this work. His Widowmines kept running through the force field somehow, so he loses a few of them. No 2-2 upgrades, but he might just be forfeiting or foregoing 2-2 upgrades for the, you know, getting the ghosts out. Do you SCV pull with this or anything? You could maybe just SCV pull with the ghost, but he takes extra gas. Now he starts armory and engineering bay. Yeah, so the answer is he will not. So let's go running straight into the 3rd. There's a lot of them, and I hear a warp in. There's the prism, so some DT setting up as well. Oh, this is so annoying because it's just as your ghosts come out. You want to get these ghosts across the map into your main army, but now They're stuck EMPing and trying to deal with Zealots. The DTs run in. He sees them though. Hits the EMP. And there's nowhere for those DTs to run to. So that's a brilliant defense. Completely shuts them down. Still isn't mining from the third base, but that's a lot of units that are now dying across the map. Preemptive force fields. As Clem is seen ahead of time. The observer still picking up so much information out the front here. Clem will go for the attack through the top side. A bit more of an open space. Less takes more force fields to set that area up. He hits the EMP. The Ghost kind of just hiding behind the SCVs. The Liberator showing up as well. EMP'd once more. The DTs are still there though, and there's no detection. There's the scan. DTs should go down in this. 24 SCVs have fallen though. It's super crucial that Clem does something right now in this army across the map. But I don't know if it's just waited too long. Disruptor out as well. Shadow Strike, does that come into play here? Probably not. Another DT shows up again, missing the missile turret on the third. Major problem. And of course, this attack actually got those ghost kills as well, so that was also a big issue. You lose those ghosts that we were talking about being the kind of the go-to, the setup. Now Clem's got to try and deal with the disruptors. He tries to bait a couple units forward with the attack. Stalker's now showing up to help deal with the Liberators, and again, Clem, well, he actually does have unity, and these Stalkers already moved forward with the blink, so this actually isn't so bad for Clem, because that's a more expensive commitment from Zest. Zest, again, floating that money, not spending all of it. As you have plenty of disruptors continuing to set up on the third base. Alrighty, first disruptor shot. Clem's away from it. Marauder does get picked off. Didn't mind burrowed up. Scans the main. Wants to see what the drop potential looks like. Answer is there's not really drop potential there at all. As this prism, I mean, even just warping in from so far away, but it doesn't really matter. I guess the really cool thing is that Clem has kept Zest away from a fourth base. And that could be pretty substantial, especially as now his own main base orbital is able to relocate. So, yeah, Zest still mining a bit more. These SCVs run straight into the Zealots, though. And that's always going to be one of the issues here, right? As these Widow Mines don't go off just yet. Zest saw them, so he did start to pull back. I mean, this is like 20 supply that's on the map, though. Now Clem's going to decide to come and hunt it down because it also allows him to take the fourth base, which he needs. So I don't mind this decision because it should give him a base, and that's obviously a potential for a lot of kills. Zest is trying to run it away. He isn't going to recall, apparently. Oh, wow. Clem stops chasing. He sees the army moving out. It does recall in the end from Zest, so that's the right decision because that's a lot of supply, and I think he realizes if the, if Clem's army isn't over here, where is it? It's obviously looking to, take advantage of these units, so good play from both. Good idea from Clem, but also good realization from Clem that Zest has figured out what he's trying to do. This is nice. Catches a couple disruptors. Didn't lose much against them so far. He's going to catch a Marauder on the ramp as well. That was a good little setup from Clem, getting some kills. Zest takes the high ground base. And this War Prism comes back into play. What is there on this fourth? Absolutely nothing. Well, there's Bio nearby. Liberator is moving across. The missile turret isn't there just yet, though. Clem rotates up to the 12 o'clock base. Stalkers, Zealots, Immortals are coming across to try and fight this. The Bio will get the cancel already. The DT's on the high ground. They're going to run by into the third. Hits the EMP. Clem has to fall back from the disruptor shot. Probes are running into this base, though. Okay, well, as Zest blinks in, Clem just kills the entire of the probe line that was heading over there anyway. Hits an EMP. A couple of these sentries lose their energy, so no force fields available. You do not want to get force fielded in with disruptors around. And now he's going to deal with those DTs as well, and that's a lot of supply from Zest that's across the map dying. Those DTs falling, and our next move, Clem about to hit 2-2 upgrades. It's another good EMP over here. Gotta say, for all these EMPs, he has not had the enhanced shockwaves upgrade, so each one of those he's hitting is off just that smaller radius. So credit to Clem, he's been able to find great connections despite that. 40 to 39 workers. This game is super low eco for both. As Zest blinks forward, Clem kind of turns to try and fight. He can't stim much more, though. He's super low HP. His medevacs have so much energy, but he's going to stim once more. His reinforcements starting to show up. A couple Liberators going to siege on this ramp. You fight that, Clem splits, even running units forward to try and dodge. And now Zest decides to back away. Still not on a fourth base, though, and that's going to be Zest's issue. Clem, for the first time in 10 plus minutes, is starting to mine a little bit more than Zest here. Disruptor goes down. Immortal's picking off a Widow Mine. Just seen Zest continue to push in. Disruptor shot lands on a Marine and a Marauder. As Those Disruptors expecting to get a kill here and a kill there. This Widowmine actually, I thought it was blocking this space, and I feel like Clem probably thought that as well. Love this though, because Clem rotates up and Zest is a little bit slow to move. Instant cancel on the base. He moved this Widowmine to block it this time around. Really would not mind it. It's going to go down before we see anything from it. Again, Clem just mining with this orbital on that forward position. What a battle this is being drawn out, as Clem has absolutely had difficulties making things work for him in this game earlier. Zest's aggression putting him in tough positions, but what Clem has done while going up to 4 bases, when Zest obviously keeping Zest on 3 bases, maybe more so, that has been very, very impressive and definitely helped out a lot. As I like the setup. Widow Mines and Liberators makes it difficult for these DTs to just blink in on top of the turret. These DTs do run by into the natural, however, though, as we still see Jules on the top side of the map. As Liberators will siege, does Clem have a scan? He should have a couple. As that's just recalls away. There's 1 DT left in the corner, and it's going to make a bit of a move forward here, just trying to be annoying as a new missile turret sets up. There's only gas left on this base anyway. Might just be worth relocating down here as well. Get that mineral mining going from the natural base again. I mean, it's not like Clem has a ton of SCVs though, so it might not be worth exposing that orbital. And obviously that is his main source of gas income, these 2 refineries. There is a rich Vespine here. But that's actually well on its way to mine now. So again, this gas might be important for Clem. And, you know, at this stage of the game, with this kind of eco, 150 minerals for 2 more refineries, and the time it takes to set that up, that might just be a bit too costly. That might be too much of a delay on the gas that you need. Both continuing down at the left as we see the DTs running into this 3rd base. They're going to get picked off pretty quickly here. In fact, they go down really quickly. This missile turret going to get repaired. 2 more Colossi on the way up. Going to see the Liberator building plus 3 attack on the Engineering Bay. I mean, an extra attack upgrade just to help Clem out. 2 Colossi. I love this as well, because really this stage of the game where Clem is not set to set up an answer to Colossus, right? He has a few Liberators, but not enough. Ooh, that Disruptor shot got scary, but that's the only Disruptor that was left. And Zest is just going to get overrun in that moment. So it feels like a quick GG, but both the Disruptors are fired, and he knows his actual army just isn't good in a straight-up fight. So Clem jumps on it. Zest isn't in a safe enough position to do anything about it. And Zest leaves the game to give us a Clem victory in game 2 and to take us. I've just had a bit of a weak listen to the foreigner versus Korean arguments, and I'm just kind of a little bit done with it. So I just feel like, you know, Clem giving me some vindication here in this game too. I don't care what happens in the rest of the series. Bottom left hand side, our red Terran player from Team Liquid. This is Clem. And the bottom right hand side, our blue Protoss player is Zest from Raise Your Edge Gaming. The 3rd and final map between the 2 of them here, of course. This is Zest's last match in the group as well, so after this we kind of will know what his scoreline is and where he's at in the group. Clem still has to play against Armani and Parting, and of course we still have some Serral matches to come as well. Serral will not play the next series, but the series after. So we have a few of those still coming up. Just going to be seeing the probe coming across over the left-hand side. Looking to see what's going on. Trying to nibble SCV, taking some damage. Going to see the Cyber Core build into the side, and just going to have our Marine production initially. So no Reaper, a Marine to start, and obviously this is a bit of a mind game already from Clem with that depot to block Zest from scouting. So immediately Zest has got to be like, what is going on here? Comes up, will not be able to see what's going on. And of course from Zest, I mean, it's very weird if you then expand off this as Clem right away, but you can't just assume that either. This Marine comes out, will push the probe back. So it's a faster factory, probably a faster Hellion drop or Widowmine drop into an expansion would be the most common way to go about this. Just gonna see a few extra probes continue to build, and obviously the Nexus from Zest coming in, but Zest has to take a more careful approach to this. So yeah, it's going to be the Hellions. So maybe so Marine Hellion drop, right? You can drop the Marines and, you know, run the Hellions across the map, and that combo of units early can be pretty scary. This is almost an absolute guarantee that you need a shield battery here, and no surprise to me at all that we're seeing the Robo facility early from Zest. The Robo is a little bit interesting, though, because, you know, you look at the Robo facility, and what it does is basically... I feel like the Robo facility is basically looking to, you know, get an Immortal out or so, and A, does that happen fast enough, and B, does it even really help against, like, a faster Hellion drop? It's funny, because I actually, I played, this is going to be my own rendition of something, but very quickly to say it, I played in a tournament at Epic Land one time, and I played against my old rival called Chelch. We go back to, like, Diamond League, and, the first series, the first game of the series, I did something like cheesy and aggressive, like I proxied a factory and a starport, and I killed him early, and you know, and it was kind of really fun. In the second game, I made it look like I was doing that, so he built a Robo, and all I did was like a very standard Hellion drop because he rushed the Immortal out and he had nothing else, because he expected me to kind of go for this like big old 1-1-1 push, and like 4 Hellions drop in his main base, and this Immortal's like, I can't kill Hellions! It's one of my greatest victories because the mind game was excellent, it was pristine. My quick half-a-second explanation of it doesn't do it justice. Hellions running into the main base here, and there's an Adept and a Stalker. Now, there's only 3 Hellions, so that final shot will be important to get rid of the one-shot potential. Hits the Adept, missing some probe kills, but man, this is already more damage this time from Clem than what he found with 4 Hellions in the last game with a proxied starport. That said, remember, it does come at the cost of a later command center. So coming out of this, you can see the impact on Clem's economy. 26 SCVs to 32 probes. So it's not amazing in that regard, and Zest will probably look at that damage taken and say, well, I can just Chrono Boost probes and kind of just get back into the economy from here on out. Just gonna see this orbital finishing on the natural. The medevac of Clem is in the center, Hellion to the far right side. Stimpack building up in the Robo Bay into the natural expansion as well. A few Marines get a scan, picking off the Observer there. Good catch from Clem. It kind of feels like this attack did the damage it needed to do to keep the game going. But it didn't do the damage to... It didn't do the damage to kind of put Clem into like a crazy lead or anything along those lines, right? 8 SCVs down, couple of orbals up and running. Stimpack building, and... yeah, I don't know. Just kind of feels like we're going to get into, not regular game, obviously, because the builds have been very different based on what's happened. But it kind of feels like the position 3 based on the way up from Zest versus the 2 of Clem is fairly standard, you know? So extended thermal lance coming through. 10 worker lead, getting them Colossi up, obviously because of the faster Robo. Comes in, picks off a probe that actually was on the 3rd, so there's Hellion putting itself to some extra use and even saves itself against the Stalker. Able to back away once again. The Adept will get that kill. Stimpack about to finish in the main base. So what's Clem's follow-up here? How aggressive does he get? He doesn't have medevacs to really do much, but I wouldn't mind this push going across the map if the medevacs joined it later. Stimpack done. I guess it's going to be more focused around combat shield and +1 attack, right? So when those upgrades finish, maybe you really go out onto the map. It feels like Clem's initial army here isn't so bad, but then I guess you look at Zest, and he's also got a good amount of gateway units up. He's got the first Colossus on the map too. Yeah, 1 Colossus isn't super scary, but you consider these are non-combat shield Marines, they can die pretty quick as well, so definitely something to worry about. Starting on the Twilight Council, and as this Observer of Zest is going to sit out down the bottom. 2 Widow Mines of Clem will come through the south and go flying toward the main base in the next little while. Another Observer relocates slightly, and again, there goes the Widow Mine drop across and into the main in the next few moments. So setting up for that, the Bio Army of Clem will continue into the middle and just going to get these Widow Mines into the main mineral line. A few moments. Comes straight through, starts to drop them in. With the Bio Army pushing forward. Colossi, you're going to get some really good connections. Those force fields are great, and he kills so much. The tanks are super late to siege. Finally, Clem's like, oh, I got to fight this. I'm going to stim, but 2 Colossi are going to do so much. The Widow Mines, yeah, they did okay, but it's nothing in comparison to what you actually really needed here. You only got like a couple of probes, really. Clem just kind of walked into this army. He was not expecting Zest to be so far forward, and Zest just grabbed the opportunity with both hands. And I mean, now Zest is in a great spot, right? Doing, taking a fight like that while up a base. Obviously, third of Clem is on the way, but not ready yet. I imagine Clem takes the gold and maybe uses that to try and leverage his way back into the game, but that's absolutely not what you wanted to happen there. Those tanks need to be sieged before you fight. They're meant to be able to get shots on the Colossi, scare those back. Yeah, Zest able to take just a really good engagement for himself. And now we see this medevac from Clem. More Widowmine drops again. Anything you can do to try and slow Zest down. You need something. You can't just sit back and hang around. I think you need to deal some damage. I think you need to take the gold base. And even then, you're obviously still not in a great position. Depends how much these Widowmines can do, or how much damage you do in general. Maybe right now this medevac needs to just get here and sit here and then wait for the opportunity to go into one of these bases. That will not be it. You will see Zest going up and starting base number 4, so he knows about that at least. Maybe to drop him Marauders or something, like up this top side, try and run into that base and get some damage. Problem is the medevac count is pretty low as well. Maybe not even low, just the fact that, 2 of them are out on the map in different locations, right? One of them stuck over here, one of them up here, so he only has 3 of them at home ready to defend. Dark Shrine building in that main base, so again, Zest getting into the very comfortable stage of the game, that late game scenario where he can afford a lot of DTs. He can put himself into a, Zealot run by his DT, run by his DTs blinking. He can get a lot done for himself. Four Zealots on the bottom side of the map as our 4th Nexus about complete. Ghost Academy building in the main. I mean, Clem's put himself in a very similar position to the last game. The issue is, you can't really just position your army to deny the 4th base constantly on this map. It doesn't work like Eternal Empire. Because you can take this 4th base in the upper right corner in a line with your 3rd. I mean, Clem could posture here, and then Zest is like, cool, I'll just kind of put my army down here, right? It doesn't, there's no way to put your army in a position that really helps you to contain anything. This Widowmine's going to burrow next to the cannon. We'll get a shot, I think, for a few probes. Of course, the Widowmine then goes down, so not much gained. We'll attempt something similar here. Decides just to lift it up and save this one. He still has 1 Widowmine in this medevac top right, so definitely still opportunities with those Widowmines. It's Clem. Well, he obviously doesn't need as many SCVs as Zest because he's got the gold base, so he gets boosted mineral income. You can see it's been fairly Zest focused, but it's not been anywhere near as bad at any point as it was in Eternal Empire, so in that regard, you could maybe stay positive. What does Zest have? Colossi? And because he goes DTs after, he has Colossi and then not really a follow-up, right? Like, he doesn't have Storm. He doesn't have Disruptors. So, yeah, with the Vikings out, maybe Clem can do something here. The Guardian Shield going to pop. I don't think that's necessarily a fight you want to take just yet. Zest, the tanks will start to siege. Vikings still going to gather up overhead. Those Widowmines still waiting for the chance to fly in. Warp Prisms across the map as well, though, so Clem's about to be under some pressure of his own to handle. And these GTs are going to come in. They're going to look to get on top of the siege tanks here from the back. Oh, they reveal themselves. Clem sees them, drops the scan. Tank shots. He's going to get a few of them. 4 still remain. That's not a bad catch, though. He scans again. The DT's already darted out the other side. Now there's another set of DTs coming in. He needs to EMP or he needs to scan. He'll drop the scan. Vikings onto the Colossi. The Stalker's targeting them down, so Colossi is going to be 2 alive with only 3 Vikings left in the skies. And DTs are just going to force so many scans here. Clem gonna have to lift and get the heck away, but he does still have a supply lead. Zest's army is still just like 2 Colossi and some DTs. That's the scary part. Like, I really feel like this army is a little bit flimsy outside of the Colossi, and I guess you've got the Immortals to mix it up as well. Zest spends some of his money, and that definitely helps. A lot of it's on a warp and it's going across the map, though. Now Clem sees it with this command center. He just goes straight into the natural expansion, and what's Clem do about it? Is he going to stem back home? He's still chasing these DTs around. Finally gets a scan to catch them, and it's taken him a while to get there. The thing is, the DTs, when you kill them, they are an expensive unit, right? So killing 4 DTs is a huge pickup, right? It takes away a lot of what Zest has been spending money on. There's a recall to take these few Zealots and DTs back home. Zest already warping in more DTs and Zealots to strike again, but Clem on the 4th base, and this time it's a real 4th base as well. It's not just an orbital relocated, so you can get a planetary fortress up here, missile turret, and that's going to take just a few extra units to then actually break down. That's the bio setting up. We've got our Zealots and DTs in the top left. +3 attack on the Forge. Again, Zest really prioritizing these attack upgrades, never adding double Forge, not going armor upgrades until all 3 attack upgrades are done. Not a mistake or anything, exactly how he played on Eternal Empire, so not really valuing the armor upgrades, just the, over the attack and the extra money to spend on, I guess, more DTs. Clem is doing a great job of catching DTs. Like, this is so expensive for Zest. If you lose like 2 DTs here even, that's a big pick-off for the cost of a scan. I mean, a scan's fairly cheap compared to 3 DTs. Just gonna see this Bioforce continuing forward. The couple of Viking shots already there for Colossi. Starting to press in. Tanks are gonna see just DTs in the backside, so you've got to focus those down, otherwise they do too much damage, but it means the Colossi sit here dealing shots as well. The Vikings are doing well though, and the first couple of Colossi are starting to go down. No Guardian Shield remaining. And so Zest is going to keep on pushing through, but I don't know if he's got the army to try. Now he's losing a lot of it, right? This army's very flimsy. It falls apart with no splash damage involved. There's a few Zealots showing up. They should be able to push them back. I might just have to lift and get out of there. Doesn't want to lose the Ghosts. They are expensive. 1 Colossus remains from Zest, and again, Zest's army does so well until it actually takes a larger fight, and then it feels like it just falls apart and crumbles. Probes going down as a liberated top right side, dealing some damage. 15 minutes in, 4 bases each. Clem investing into extra production here as well, as he will start command center number 5. Medevac to the bottom side, some Zealots in the Warp Prism. They're gonna head their way all the way down the bottom, and we do see this Observer right there is going to see this Medevac. Couple of extra Marines coming through. The Warp Prism of Zest will head into the main. Unload a little bit in the near future as we see our army moving into the center. So Zest, well, he's going to warp in a few Zealots here. Do you get that pylon in time? No, it's not even Zealots, it's DTs. Maybe could have gotten the pylon. I mean, Zest is making a large push though. But that said, he's up 30 army supply. It's pure Zealot Stalker. So it's not like this is super good army quality. Thing is, with DTs in the main base and units, having a kite over here, how are you ever meant to gather everything together to take advantage of the fact that this is just pure Zealot Stalker? The fact it is pure Zealot Stalker lets Zest be everywhere, so he's using that to his advantage. I'm just going to kite his heart out over here. Another EMP drops on Immortal. That just says it's not going to be enough, and a lot of that comes back down to the point where, obviously, earlier we kind of saw that Clem was walking, is this fight over here? He walks up this ramp force fields, loses the Marines, and from there he was always playing from behind, was not able to turn it around. Zest will win the series out 2-1